Good morning.
Good morning.
What is it, middle of June? 12th or so? All these days kind of run together, Hans. 3 months now in Santa Catarina, Brazil. We're in the island of Florianopolis.
On an island.
I'm in it. 6 days a week. We wake up early, we run out to the ocean. We dive in, we body surf, we greet the sun. If it dares to show its face, shine its light down upon us. And then, for 3 months now, we've been coming back to do these Facebook Lives. And with Father's Day approaching, we're inviting people to come join us in a Facebook group called Honoring Fathers. And the past couple of days, we've been speaking to different issues around fathers and honoring fathers and the power of that. And today, just thought we'd tell a few stories. You know, I think it's honoring, Hans, to just tell the stories of someone. You know, just that. It doesn't need to be a heroic story. It doesn't need to be anything in particular. But to me, honoring is in large part about remembering. It's like bringing it back to the present, bringing someone back into your arms, bringing someone back into the family, remembering, like bringing them back as a member of the family, of your life, into your heart. And so yeah, simply telling stories of someone can be honoring. So, you want to start?
Sure. I'll just tell a story not with me, but of my father. Yeah, because I said this yesterday to you. I don't know if I said it during the call or after, but you resonated with it. Is that I see how my father really fought battles that give me the liberty, slayed dragons that I don't have to slay anymore.
For example?
And he tells me his story of like when he was 18, I believe. His heritage, his parents, so my grandparents, are Flemish, which is the north part of Belgium. And after the war, they're farmers also, and they went to the south part of Belgium, which Belgium is small, but you know, if you're younger, that's like the concept of distance is different. It's a completely different world. It's the French part, which is a completely different culture, different language, because it's the French. The Walloon part of Belgium is like French culture, and the Flemish part is Dutch culture. Mm-hmm. So, and that comes with different language, different habits, it's really a divide in Europe. You know, the more.
I'm just thinking Americans are probably thinking the French part is probably a little bit more like flowery and.
But it really is a divide in Europe. That's what's interesting, because that's the Germanic part, which is like English, Dutch, Scandinavia, Germany. You know, and Nazis, and then. And then the southern part is the French, you know, the more Latin.
Just bring all our stereotypes into it.
The more Latin culture, you know, with France and Spain and Italy. So you really see that divide in Belgium. It's one of the biggest contrasts. And Belgium, Flanders was always like the more, not always, but the last couple of years more advanced. And the Walloon parts, we say, you know, they're less advanced, even though 100 years ago was the inverse.
Which part is more advanced?
Flanders. Mm-hmm. 100 years ago is the inverse.
Flanders is the Germanic part.
Yes, yeah. So his parents are Flemish farmers that after the war go to the south because it's less populated and there's more land. So they go there. And my father, being the rebel that he is his whole life, he always felt that he wanted to go back to the Flemish part. You know, he hated the French laziness and all kind of stereotypes, but laziness and way less alive, you know. And when he was 18, he left home and he started working in like gas stations and he tried to find his way, you know, rebelling against his parents.
Rebelling.
rebelling, and he also came back to Flanders. So he came back to Flanders, started working here, met my mom, and he's the only one of the family who.
So I see what you're saying. This way, you didn't have to go meet your mom.
Huh?
Sorry, that was.
No, it's just impossible.
Yeah, it's impossible.
So he came back to Flanders, and he made his life here, or he made his life there, and the rest of the family.
You couldn't have met your mom if it wasn't for your dad. So.
Yes, and the rest of the family is still there in the French speaking part. Yes, mm-hmm. So the grandparents, all his brothers and sisters are there. So I'm imagining how like tough that must have been in a way, because he tells me stories of how that was like the other side of the world, and and his whole life is in a way like slaying dragons, like trying to rebel against the society of what's expected and what's normal. And
for example,
well, that for example is not normal. That was not a normal thing to do, and
How did that slay dragons for you? How did that make
just
it easier for you?
Just the idea of like what I inherited from him is this not being content with what's offered to you. Like my father is still struggling and thinking like, okay, what do I want? What do I want? Maybe I should live there, and start my life there. And he turns 70 next month, and he still has this young, as if he's 17, and thinking, okay, can I start a new life? Can I? It's incredible. And I think I have that young, rebellious spirit from him, and the importance of asking like, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? Mm-hmm. And he always supported me in it. Like, of course, he's a dad too, and he would like comment on things, and give his opinion, and he would even comment like on my hair or whatever. It would drive me insane, like fucking leave me alone. I do whatever the fuck I want, But I could feel, and I still feel that deep down, he always like respect choices, my own choices. It really supports that, like really stands 100% behind that. There's no like judgment of it.
So let's hear a story.
Well, like I told, we were talking about like tell stories. I can't really think of specific stories. I don't know. It's like when I go to university and I study whatever I want, not because it's a good job, or I never felt any like pressure of my parents.
No, but like a story. On this day we were here, then this happened, then that happened, and then we ended up here.
Yeah. Can't think of a story.
I'm starting to doubt your father existed at all.
But that's maybe testament of that trust. It's like like I said just before we went live. I feel like an ongoing support, and that doesn't come with like highs and lows, like or like you said, coming back for me, or it was like he's like always there as like a beacon, like I can 100% rely on him, and I trust that he trusts me, and there's no fighting there in a way. There's no fight there. Like I didn't have to fight to get from under my parents' wings, for example.
They had no issue with you leaving university? Leaving your doctorate?
No. They didn't care at all. Like, to this day, my mom doesn't know what I studied. She doesn't know. If you would ask my mom, what did your son study? And I would say sociology, or No idea. Like, they don't care. They don't care about, well, my parents were working people. My father was a truck driver and my mom's a nurse. But I could feel that they were proud that their children studied. But they also didn't really care. Like, my father would always say, you know, yeah, that's theory, you know, it's in practice. But they're
Very practical people.
Yeah, very pragmatic and very...
Hands-on.
Yeah.
Just go through the day, do what you need to do.
Yeah. Like I said, my father was a truck driver. My mom's a nurse in the same hospital her whole life. From 17 till 60.
Wow.
Amazing. Yeah, I wonder about that. I know it's not a story, but, you know, it's...
You know, a great thing to do would be to go collect some of your father's stories.
Yeah.
It could be a great way to honor him. Like, go and ask him about some of his stories.
Well, I hear the family stories of him and his brothers, and yeah, when there's family
stories that you could pass on.
Right. Yeah.
I remember after I left the States in 2010 and starting a whole new life outside of the States, I was really thinking of myself not as American anymore. But I started getting interested in my ancestors and the stories of my ancestors and where I come from.
Okay, I've got one afterwards, I'll tell one.
And yeah, that in itself is honoring as well. You know, as we're talking about honoring fathers, we can include grandfathers,
yes,
great-grandfathers, ancestors, like where do we come from? It's something that's missing even more for Americans than for Europeans, because your people come from there for a long way back. You know, we haven't been there that long.
Yes.
Let's hear it. Let's hear the story.
All right, here's a great story. I got stories about Cub Scouts, but that's 14th century. My father is great with people. You know, I saw him once sell my motorcycle for double of the price that I was ready to sell it for. But he was also at some point, he's crazy about soccer, football, like I was playing. And he was a coach, of my team. We had a youth team. We were like 15, 16. And he was the coach. And and in the team, I swear to God, they were all delinquents. They were all criminals. Really, like, and it was amazing. Like, the first day of training, the team, one of the players would come to my father and say, "Did you comb your hair?" You know, to the coach, you know. But my father, he's not very skilled necessarily in like the game, but he's very good with people, and he really made that into a team. And it was incredible. And he got people, they were all misfits, you know? And we had an incredible team. And every time I meet people now, they talk about that year. And we were 15, 16. And we were playing the Cups at the end of the year. And we went, like every game we won was knockout phase. It was like 6 games and we kept winning. Knockout phase.
Meaning if you lose one, you're out of the tournament.
Yes. And this is like, it becomes bigger, it becomes regional, county, regional, the province, you know, national. It was incredible. And we played the semi-final. And I got to tell, my father had already booked a trip to Spain with my mom. That was going to be during the time of the final. Because the chances of us being in the final are like 0. They don't exist because you play like really good teams. And we keep winning. And the story of that in itself is like every 2 weeks or so we play the games. It's like amazing. Like we keep winning, and I remember the spirit of it being like so like oh, you know, and semi-final, and we win, and I scored a goal, and we're in the fucking final, and my father's fuck, you know,
because he's got to cancel his trip.
Well, he doesn't have to cancel his trip. Or was it during the semi-final already? No. It was after. My father goes on the trip with my mom. How the fuck is this possible? Maybe the return leg of the semi-final, he was already left. That's maybe what it was. Because he was already there. We win the return, so we're in the final for the next week. And my father is fuck. He's in Spain. He's in Spain with my mom on the only holiday he probably ever did in like 20 years, because we didn't do that. And it's the day of the final, and my father doesn't tell anyone, but he gets on a plane from Spain. Remember, this is 25 years ago. It's not so easy to fly then, you know. He gets on a plane and comes back to Belgium for 1 day. In the meantime, we're like on the bus. We're gonna go to the final, which is the other side of the country, and the coach of the first team is gonna coach us that day, you know. And everyone is like,
the coach of the first team.
Yeah, because we're the youth team. We're 15, 16, and so because this is such a big deal, the coach of the first team is gonna guide us.
By the first team, you mean the older guys? Or
the older guys, yeah, the senior team. So we're on the bus, you know, and I know my father's coming, and he has a good sense of drama too, you know. We take off with the bus, and he stops the car, you know, and my father comes on the bus, and I still remember all the guys, you know, who like criminals, but they loved him. Everyone's like, yeah, you know, like this, you know, and the energy was just incredible. I remember it, you know. And we went to play the final, and we won it with 5-0, whatever. And we
won.
Destroyed the others. Like we were on a cloud, you know. Sorry, we were on a cloud. And I still have pictures of that, you know. It's just, and for all of those guys, that moment was like the highest, you know. It was just amazing, you know. And anyway, so it was testament to his his people skills.
Yeah, maybe like that experience locked in to you your even greater taste for victory.
Yes.
You know,
man.
like,
yes. I always felt like for me that I could win, you know. I'm a winner. Like, I don't know football, I have limited skills, but I always knew how to win, you know. I win. And that's a different ball game, you know. And my father's a winner too. He's a winner. He gets the thing done, you know, by any means necessary. And I just remember that moment, you know. And he had a real good sense of like managing a crowd, you know. There, yeah. Every time I meet a guy from that's 25 years ago. It's always about that, always about that year, and you know, and oh, it was so great because he gave guys chances, you know. He got them. We had guys really from prison, you know, guys that get like youth detainment, and they got out to come and train, and they got out to play, you know, and then they had to go back, and you know, it made something incredible happen for them, like a memory they'll have forever. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I have stories like that with my father as well, but I feel like I've told them. I know I've told them to you recently. I'm not sure if I've told them on this show, but like those when you're in Cub Scouts, and everyone has to make their own car, and then you compete for looks and for the speed of the car. And you know, it's when you're like 7 or 8 years old, it's mostly the fathers doing it, you know. And I had this we made this black car, and I think we got first for looks and for the thing, you know. And you can put like weights in the car and like all this kind of stuff. And I told you that story of we're up in the mountains on a 50-mile hike. And I mentioned this yesterday, like my stepmother would go on to give my dad a lot of shit for how he gave me shit and competed with me, and you know, in her eyes it's like he's putting his son down and stuff like this, but I didn't take it like that at all, you know. Like I was always, yeah, whatever, Dad, I'm gonna smash you, you know what I mean? So my dad was very competitive in that way. And so we're on I must have been about 12, and we're on a 50-mile hike through the Shenandoah Mountains, I think. It's along that trail that goes...
Wow, Shenandoah?
I think so. The Appalachian Trail. It's along the
That's
Appalachian
amazing,
Trail.
because one of my favorite songs talks about a river. I think, oh, Shenandoah. Is it the river?
We were hiking along that river.
Jesus.
I don't know. We might have
That's
been.
Bob Weir. It's a great song. Yeah.
I think I know what you're talking about. But so it's like the 5th day maybe. We're carrying like 50-pound packs, and the fathers each have a pack, and the young boys each have a pack, and there's a lot of shit talking and joking, and this is like a religious but Boy Scout thing. So it's just sons and fathers, and I don't know, there's maybe 15 of us, and maybe like, I don't know, 10 boys and 5 grown men. And my dad and the scoutmaster had a huge ego and a huge belly as well. And he, walk around and kind of, it was a bit of an asshole. And my dad's gonna take him on because the guy, they're kind of like going back and forth about who could win in a race, in a running race. So it's early morning and they're gonna race, and like everybody, all the guys are up, like we're around the campfire, and it's a big deal, the race is about to happen. And I'm Mormon, and you're not supposed to be smoking, drinking, that's all wrong. But like on this hike, I was taking these little sticks, and I'd light them on fire, and I wouldn't inhale them into my lungs, but like into my mouth, and I'd be like puffing on like I got a cigarette. So I got my cigar, my fake cigar, and my dad better win this thing, and I'll never live down the shame. But they take off, and they're gone. They're gone. Like we're looking for him, waiting for him to come back. And then who rounds the corner first is this big bellied asshole scoutmaster. I'm like, fuck. And my dad puts on a chase, but the guy wins at the end. And then we find out like he cheated. The Boy Scout leader cheated in my...
Per whose account he cheated?
Well...
Did he admit to cheating or not?
It was obvious. I don't know. I can't remember, but there was no doubt in anyone's mind that my dad had beat him. Or that he had cheated. But, yeah, I'm just... My mom was hyper competitive too. My mom was probably even more competitive than my father was. But you can see where some of it comes from.
I got some more stories. I got 2 cycling related stories. My father was a cyclist. He always wanted me to cycle, and I played football. And it's funny because now, when I became 40, I got hooked on cycling.
But not before.
Not before. I only do this since 6 years, and I was raised in Flanders Fields, where it was like the mecca of the world for cycling, and I never rode the roads, or Now I go back from the other side of the world just to ride in my home country,
Huh.
But we would ride bikes, like we would steal, because everyone ride bikes, and in Belgium, because there's so many races, every village has like a white line because there has been a race, whatever, And we would ride around, and I would know, and he would know where the lines are. And every time...
Like the start line, finish line.
Finish line, start, yeah. And every time it's like a race to the line, And I remember...
You against your father.
Me against my father. And I would do as if I didn't know,
Wait, when was this?
When we were younger,
When, how old were you?
6, 7.
Okay, you're really young.
Yeah,
Right.
8, 9, 10, whatever going on. And he would act as if he didn't know that I know, And then I would sprint like out of his wheel, like last one, try to win. And he would try sprint, And most of the time I would win, And I always thought, fuck yeah, I'll beat him. Like really, I got him again, But he would let me win, of course, most of the time, because he's a cyclist. He would know. But yeah, that's part of it. Or a lot of it's related to victories and athletics. He was a cyclist, and he would ride, and I remember during a race, they would do they call it premies, which means even during the race, the next lap, if you pass first, there was a prize. Mm-hmm. And I remember there was this soccer bag. I still see it, you know, in front of me.
Soccer bag.
Soccer bag as the prize for one of the premies.
Uh-huh.
And I remember during the race, you know, he's in the peloton, and I'm by the...
Your dad's racing, not you.
My father's racing, and I'm by the side watching my dad. He was a good sprinter. And I would say, the next round is this soccer bag, and I really want it because I was a soccer player. And I say, next round is a soccer bag! Give me this soccer bag, you know. And it's stupid, you know. And he would like...
What an idiot.
I was like, more important than the race, you know, was to become first in the next lap.
Uh-huh.
And he got it, you know, he got me the bag. And I'm like, I still remember, like, he jeopardized his chances of winning the race, you know, so I could get the bag, you know. But, you know,
that's great.
I'm 45 now, I still know that. I got that soccer bag, it was red, and it said, Goede Fruit.
Yeah, I can see how your dad really, like, ingrained in you victory.
Victory.
That's great. Be a great thing to honor him for.
Yeah.
Retell those stories. Yeah, yesterday I was talking about how my stepmom would try to shame my dad for all his shit talking around me when I go out to visit. But when I was maybe, man, how old was I? I don't even know. I must have been in my 20s. Yeah. Started, go out I go out to visit my dad, just be me and my dad. And man, we would go at it. We would, the Mormon churches, they all have basketball courts inside. It might sound strange to someone who's not Mormon, but all the churches, inside of the church, they have a...
That does sound strange to me.
Yeah, they have a basketball
inside
court.
The building?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. You got your place where you listen to the Sunday sermon.
Uh-huh.
Behind that, you got your basketball court, which can also double as like a whatever room or whatever. But it's legit, and it'd be carpeted with very thin carpet, but you totally play basketball on it. And then, Mormons are very competitive with their basketball. And and BYU is this school in Utah that's the big, most Mormons are big, huge fans of BYU because it's the big Mormon school. And I went to the University of Utah just for a semester, but it was the arch rival of BYU. So these games, man, dude, they were like both my dad and I full court. Always full court. And,
one-on-one full court.
One-on-one full court. Sprinting, and all these are like layup, sprint, and talking shit the whole time about the Utes or the Y, and man, it was great, great memories. Yeah. So, anyone who might be listening to this or watching the video.
Yes, I want to hear some stories.
This is one thing that you can do to honor your father coming into the next couple weeks is tell stories amongst your people. You're out with your dad. Say, Dad, I was thinking the other day, I remember this one time, and tell him the story. Like you remembering this story with him and him seeing your delight in it or your feeling about it. Just the fact that you remember is a very simple, easy way to honor your father or a father. And
I'm imagining putting this in the family group I have. And what my father would say.
Does he speak English?
No, he would say, in Dutch, please.
Yeah. So it'd be funny, you could keep it with all the emotion and everything, but transcribe it on the video.
Yes.
But yes, we have a group honoring fathers, and there's a lot deeper, more powerful work we can do around honor and transformative work around honoring fathers. But this is a very simple way you can engage and honor the fathers in your world.
So if you have stories, put them underneath. I would like to hear.
Yeah, add your stories to the comments. And this coming week, Tuesday and Thursday, not sure on the dates.
Oh yes. Yeah,
the Tuesday and Thursday, just before Father's Day, we're going to do a 2-part teleseminar around writing a letter of honor that will go far deeper than if you just sat down to write your dad a letter to honor him, there's ways to go about it that can reach him even deeper and reach you even more deeply. So I invite you to engage with those. That's going to be Tuesday and Thursday at 1 p.m. Brazil time,
noon Eastern,
and 9 a.m. Pacific.
And that's 6 p.m. European time, Madrid time.
6 p.m. European time.
Check your times.
Invite you guys to join us. And imagine going to your father on Father's Day with a letter that he can keep with him, he can read again and again, that really touches him from his son or daughter.
So that's Tuesday and Thursday, next Tuesday and Thursday at noon Eastern time. But in the meantime, if you want to know more, you want to be updated, the things that lead up to it, join the Facebook group that Michael started. How do they find it?
Search for Honoring Fathers with Michael Skye.
Honoring Fathers with Michael Skye. You can do it without Michael Skye too, but that's the group.